Hello and welcome to The Rest is Football with Alan Shearer, Micah Richards and me, Gary Lineker. It's been one of the great sporting weekends. We had the Grand National on Saturday. The final round of the Masters is taking place as we speak, as it's a Sunday evening now. And the football, certainly didn't disappoint either, unless, of course, you're a Liverpool or an Arsenal fan. It's been a pivotal weekend in the title race, of course. It may even be the defining week that decides where that Premier League trophy will be going next month. Alan, you're up in Manchester, as you made a tactical error by doing Match of the Day 2 on Masters Sunday. What a day for Manchester City. They're now 2 points clear at the top of the table. It's back in their hands. And as we know from previous seasons, when they have to win every game, they do tend to do it. Mike, I think you've got a smile on one side of your face and a little bit of a smirk on the other, because obviously we all know deep down you're an Arsenal fan.
Exposing me again. Yes, we addressed this many times before. I was a Gooner growing up, but... Yeah, I just thought, because when we look at the fixtures, again, you presenters asked us pundits to predict who's going to win the league. You did it at the start of the season. And you even had a prediction yourself, didn't you, Gary, with Arsenal? But I said 2 weeks ago, I was doing Sky, and Liverpool got a good result, and then everyone was saying Liverpool are going to win the league. I still think there's going to be another twist before the end of the season. Everyone's always saying, City know. They have a history of going on big runs. We know that. But they've got Real Madrid midweek. We don't know what's going to be the outcome of that game. And some of these teams now who, before, the likes of Aston Villa are a better squad now. Spurs are a better team now. Man City have still got to go to Spurs away. It has been a bogey team for them for many years. But it's just exciting and it's interesting. And I just thought Palace were outstanding, and so were Aston Villa. Unai Emery deserves so much credit. Don't forget, he's going back to a team where it didn't work out for him. He didn't probably get the time he wanted, but tactically in the game, I thought it got it spot on.
Thought it was a tactical masterclass from Unai Emery. And by the way, there was nothing defensive. Although they were brilliant defensively, they didn't sit and try to hit Arsenal on the attack. They actually were brave at everything they did, Aston Villa. I thought it was a tactical masterclass in how to subdue a crowd, how to subdue players when you know the opposition are going to be under huge pressure. Palace did that as well at Anfield. Both teams today, Palace and Aston Villa, were absolutely outstanding in everything they did, because you know that players and teams are under huge pressure. You know that if you frustrate for 20 or 25 minutes, you just start to hear the little moans and groans. Players start thinking, they start panicking, things don't come naturally as they normally would. And that's exactly what Palace and Villa did today. I thought they were outstanding in everything they did.
I really liked tactically what Aston Villa was doing. So, Arsenal love the high press, but you see how long Villa were waiting before there was playing out. The centre-backs, Pau Torres, who was excellent. We know how good he is on the ball, but Diego Carlos really was a machine at the back. And there was just inviting that pressure onto them so they could play out, and they got caught out sometimes, but they kept doing it. Arsenal at times were a little bit flustered. Then they managed to get the ball into Morgan Rogers, it was told to us as a striker. Obviously, he was at Man City, he was at Middlesbrough as well, I believe, but he's still only, I think, 21. The positions he was getting into, sort of getting between Arsenal's defence and midfield at times, I just thought was outstanding. The rotation with him and Watkins was great. When Watkins went in, then he would go up. I just thought the whole game plan for Aston Villa was, and they all work so hard, don't they? They work ridiculously hard. They was lucky at times in the first half. They had to ride the wave of attacks from Arsenal, but in the game overall, especially in that second half, they were outstanding.
I was going to say the second half. I mean, tactically and everything. Whatever he did at half time, and he talked, obviously twisted it a little bit. They were so dominant in the second half. That wasn't just hitting on the counter-attack. That was, they were the better side. They had the better chances. Tielemans was unbelievably unlucky when he hit the bar and the post. Watkins in the first half as well, didn't he? It reminds me, actually, I played in a North London derby once and it was 0-0 at Highbury, and I hit a shot like that and it hit both posts. And it's absolutely gutting, that kind of miss. But what a finish from Ollie Watkins for the second one. I thought, Villa in the second half, I thought they were absolutely exceptional. Unai Emery, and he will never admit it, of course, but there would have been part of him in there going, take that, you lot. Take that.
Did you see him celebrate the goal? You could see, I was actually delighted because I was saying, isn't that brilliant to see that he's none of this shit about respecting the opposition because he used to play for them and all of that. I get all of that, but it was great to see him celebrate. He's worked and worked and worked. And hey, they played on Thursday night. So to have that, to go away again and have that energy and all of that, and right throughout the game, not just the first half, you'd think the energy might have dipped a bit second half, but anything, it actually got better and better. So it was a great performance, and I was delighted to see him celebrating the way he did.
In many ways, the two first halves were quite similar of Liverpool Palace, I should say, the other way around, and Arsenal Villa, weren't they? But they both missed chances. Obviously, Liverpool missed a lot of chances, but Villa always looked a threat. And as did Crystal Palace, particularly in the first half.
Palace missed some big chances as well,
They did.
Eze, Elise, Mateta. I think they've only played 8 times together this season. So particularly those two, as we know, Eze and Elise, they give Palace something different. And there was no fluke about it. Yes, Liverpool missed chances. So did Crystal Palace miss a lot of chances as well.
Yeah, we were all saying on the group chat that we have before we do these podcasts about Adam Wharton in midfield, 20 years old, new signing, obviously came in the transfer window from your old lot, Alan, at Blackburn. What a performance. He's so calm on the ball, doesn't give it away, never gets flustered, track back, look good going forward, really good all-round game.
When I was at Blackburn 6 or 7 weeks ago, they were telling me about that. They had to sell him. Yeah. They said Palace got him on the cheap, and I understand why today. Been watching him, and he's been really impressive. But today he was without. He basically, I thought he ran that midfield today. When you consider who he was against, and it being at Anfield, that's a pretty big thing to say. But he was absolutely outstanding.
As an Arsenal fan, as a Liverpool fan, they'll be absolutely choked today, won't they?
You know what it is? It's the fact that we talk about the race, and then there was a big discussion about Arsenal going to the Etihad, and was it taking 4 points off them this season? So you go back to last season, and a lot of people were saying Arsenal they bottled it, which it didn't bottle it. They just ran out of steam at the wrong time. Now, when you've gone to Man City and played really well, give you all the confidence you need, then to basically have a game at Villa, and even if you can draw a game as well, can't you? It's like Arsenal are going for it. Sometimes you just got to say, you know what, we'll take a draw. Villa are outstanding in the second half, and let's go again. But to lose the 3 points at home after all what they've done up until now, that's what will hurt a little bit more.
It's that old adage, isn't it? If you can't win the game, don't lose it.
Lose it, exactly.
Micah, were you a bit surprised where he started Havertz?
Probably against the lesser teams. You can put in Havertz in a midfield area. And to be fair, I thought Havertz did quite well. I think in terms of the time of his run between the centre-back and right-back for Villa at times, he was getting in. It was just that final little pass wasn't right. But in terms of the energy that Aston Villa bring, when you've got Jorginho, how he dictates a game, and Partey's coming to the team recently as well, I just thought it was a game for them, and it's one way you look back and, Arteta's the manager, he's got to make the decision. But I just thought at times in the second half, they got overrun in midfield. It was too easy for Aston Villa. They needed a little bit more steel in there. Even we look at Declan Rice now and his position. He could play Holden, he could play number 8. But when a Jorginho or Partey doesn't play, they just don't have the same stability.
I was really surprised that he didn't play Jorginho, because he's been really good in recent weeks.
He's been excellent.
Really good. And it obviously allows Rice to march more forward, and he's very good at running with the ball and breaking between the lines that kind of way. So I was quite surprised. I think it was Paul Merson, wasn't it? It was on before the game, saying that he thought it was a mistake. He said it before the game. Fair play to him for recognising that. But what's going on in the... I mean, we've all been in title races. What's going on in the Arsenal players' heads tonight?
Well, obviously huge disappointment. You're thinking to yourself, is that it? Have we blown it? Because all of us have said you're going to have to be pretty much perfect in between 2 weeks ago and until the end of the season. But I don't think this is the last twist you'll see. I think there'll be another twist somewhere along the line. City are without doubt obviously favourites now. It's been a great weekend for them. But yeah, they'll be down in the dumps, and they can't be for long, because they've got to pick themselves up and go to Munich in the Champions League, haven't they?
You know what's different though about this time round? Normally you have 2 teams going for the league, don't you? So okay, you want one team to drop points or what? But it's now you're expecting 2. You want or hoping 2 teams drop point, and that is the difference. And with Man City's record of the runs that they go on, it's always going to be difficult. But you've got to keep going. When we was going for the league, when we won the league, we won it on goal difference. We were 7 points behind with, was it around 10 games to go? I know a few more games, but you've still just got to believe and hope that a team slips up. Just make sure you do your job.
Well, if it's anything like the Championship, nobody wants to go up. Nobody wants to win a game. Nobody wants to score a bloody goal. I mean, as for Leicester are getting away with it at the moment. I mean, they lost on Friday night, and then Leeds managed to lose at home, and Ipswich didn't manage to win at home. And the similar thing occurred the week before, but I suspect that's very unlikely to happen to someone like Manchester City.
No,
was there booing at Leicester? Did I hear reports of booing?
The last 2 games have been away, so maybe the fans that have travelled. I mean, if you've gone to Millwall and then gone all the way down to Plymouth, which is a bloody long way, and your team hasn't scored a goal and hasn't performed at all, then I'm sure there'll be a few rumbles, because I mean, Have got lots of Leicester fans that are friends and family, including 3 of my lads, and we're all bloody grumbling. But we also know that they, the results have been so favourable even after they've lost that they're still probably, well, it's still in Leicester's hands to go up. They've got 3 of their last 4 games at home, but come on, lads. Get a grip. Get a grip. Make it happen. Don't just hope it happens. Get out there. Make it happen. Stop trembling. Stop being nervous. Get out there. Score some goals. Have some fun. Play some football. Entertain the crowd. Win the bloody title. Get back in the Premier League.
Come on. This is just a pod about the big clubs. Forget Leicester. I'm joking, Leicester fans. Don't attack me.
No, it's all right. We might even mention Newcastle as well on that front. Perhaps switch on to the Liverpool Palace game more. I mean, that was obviously a kind of bit of a game changer for the new manager of Crystal Palace, because they performed brilliantly, didn't they? Back 3 there were great. Eze, particularly, I thought was superb on the counter-attack. Elise, I mean, those 2 are so talented. And we mentioned Wharton as well. And Mateta was a real threat up front. And they gave as good as they got, certainly in the first half. As you would expect in the second, Liverpool, they went for it and they pushed and they pushed. And they missed some chances. And Henderson did make in that game a couple of extraordinary saves, didn't he, as well? What's your analysis tonight, Alan? What's your analysis on the 2 games?
My analysis on the Crystal Palace Liverpool is the front 3, how they absolutely give them Liverpool back 4 torrid time. They were allowed so much space, and not very often have we said that this season about Liverpool's back four, but they were given the runaround by those three today. So that's the Palace game. And it is how brave Aston Villa were. So it was, although they were fantastic defensively, it wasn't a defensive performance in terms of getting everyone behind the ball. It was brave in terms of leaving people up and being able to go 1-for-1 and trusting their defenders. So that's my analysis on the Aston Villa Arsenal game. Yeah.
Who are you on with?
Me and Shea Given.
Plenty of Newcastle on there tonight.
He's happy as well, though. Yeah. He's got his Man City connections as well.
Yeah, well, we know that. Micah's smiling. Come on, Micah. But I mean, it must be really quite difficult, and like for you, to live through when you don't know who you really want the most. I mean, because I know in football, your boyhood club, even when you play for other teams and your allegiances switch and you kind of switch off a little bit from your boyhood club. You follow them, but when you finish playing, it comes back, that feeling of the club that you've supported as a child. That's what I found particularly. And then it gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And you've been finished now, a few years, Micah, and I sense there's a little bit more of Arsenal creeping back in, that little red through your body.
No, it is hard. Because,
Micah, forget about the money. That City opinion. Speak from the heart.
No, it is hard because you can't change clubs, can you? If you support Arsenal when you're younger, but it's just the fact that Man City gave me my opportunity within life. The people at the club are amazing. And I'm not saying that because I'm an ambassador for that. They're just, everything that they do is second to none. I won a Premier League with Man City, a FA Cup the first. Look at Alex. Anyway, before I was rudely interrupted, won the FA Cup for 30 odd years, nearly 40 years. So I'm ingrained in the history of that club. And of course, we all have two teams, don't we? And they're my two teams.
Who's your other team, Alan?
I have one. Who's that? I have one team.
You won a Premier League with Blackburn. And you don't have a second
I love Blackburn. I love Southampton. But Newcastle's my team.
Yeah, I'm like that as well. I've obviously got affinity towards Everton and Tottenham. Had great times at both clubs. Love both clubs. But your team is your team. And obviously Barcelona's quite nice because you can have a team abroad and they don't ever play against your
How the fuck can we talk
team
about the Premier League title race and get on about Barcelona?
Oh, well, I don't know, really. Because it's a podcast, we do what the fuck we want. We can do what we want. As expected, of course, against Luton, who are in the bottom three. We expect them to win comfortably, and they did. And that possibility that I mentioned just before the break of back-to-back trebles. There's like few games left in the league, 2 games to win in the FA Cup. They get past Real Madrid, then there's just a couple of times. It's possible. You wouldn't have thought that would be a possible thing to do.
No.
Because it's such a difficult thing to achieve. But it's on the cards. I wouldn't bet against them with any confidence.
No, me neither. I was just about to say that with the experience, with the squad that they have. They've had injuries. It looks as if the injuries are getting a lot better for them at the right time. So, yeah, I'm like you. I mean, can you imagine?
Oh, I know.
After so many years, we spoke, didn't we, about the 99 team at Man United and what they did and what they achieved and everything else. And then, of course, City did it. But then to do it and repeat it in the next season.
It's not just that as well. It's winning the league 4 times in a row that nobody's done. It's just remarkable, isn't it? It really is remarkable what Man City are doing.
Everyone will say yes, but they've got, huge wealth behind them, this sort of thing. But so have other clubs. Manchester United probably spent more on players and etc. And, then they've also got the thing hanging over them for, the financial fair play, that stuff, which I think it's fair to mention, although I think the vast majority of those things were before Pep arrived. But I think you've got to say...
Still the club, though, isn't it?
It's still a club, and it's still, and what Pep Guardiola has done. I mean, I mean, if he got back-to-back trebles, you would have to say, I think that would lift him above everybody else, I think, in the game.
Yeah, I agree.
If he's not already there. Because what he does differently, of course, is that he evolves the game. Every season he comes up with something, you go, oh my God, including this season. It was inverted fullbacks. Now it's centre-halves that play all over the pitch. I just wonder, does he ever think about anything else? I wonder. I mean, I know he likes a game of golf, but I just wonder whether he's what goes on in that brain of his.
You know what? We need to get him on the pod, don't we?
Oh God, I'd love to get him on the pod.
Well, that's the one we need. We can pick his brains about absolutely everything.
Why don't you ask him then? When you're doing one of your little rolls.
Well, if you keep mentioning fucking Arsenal every 2 minutes, I've got no chance.
Micah, we all know that deep down you are a massive Manchester City fan. We were watching the game together, actually, weren't we, Micah, yesterday when Man City were playing Luton. And, Luton sat everybody behind the ball, as a lot of teams, particularly those near the bottom of the table. And you understand that. And they've got, it's a big ask for them. But you just know that there's absolutely zero chance of getting a result that way. The teams that have given them a bit of a run for their money are the ones that have gone, right, we'll actually have a go at you. You're going to get beaten anyway. If you just sit behind, they eventually will break you down. And I understand it's a very difficult thing to go a little bit gung-ho and try and press them and counter and bit of this. But you just think, and it's kind of boring to watch. 10 players behind the ball plus the goalkeeper, and then eventually, City get one, and then they get one in the second half, and then they get a couple more, 3 more later on.
They've got no choice but to do that, Luton. I understand they're the club, but they were always going to do that. And that's why it's been such an important weekend. And I think, we're talking about tiny minutiae, about advantages. When you play first on a Saturday and you win, you send a tiny little message, to your opponents that, okay, we've done our job, pressure's on you, now you've got to go. And I don't care who or what you are, it does send a little tiny message. And with Man City doing their job yesterday and improving their goal difference, there's no doubt that the Liverpool and the Arsenal players would have looked at that yesterday, no doubt.
Yeah. It's quite hard doing your analysis, isn't it, Micah, on Manchester in those sort of games, because it's kind of, it's repeat, and you think, I've done everything, what do I do? I could see you were getting quite frustrated about, in the end you went obviously you did Doku because he kind of made the difference and he was a standout player in the game. But tactically there's nothing new in a game like that, is there?
Yeah, exactly that. Everyone calls Man City boring, but it's not Man City boring. It's the teams that are playing against sit back. If anyone's being boring, it's the opposition. I just thought Luton did defend really well. They had that horrible own goal they conceded, didn't they, after 2 minutes, which...
And that kills you, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It was madness. I thought it was a great strike from Haaland. Looked at the replay, come off how do you pronounce his name? Ashioka? Ashioka? That sounds about right.
You go with that, Mike. Go with it with confidence and no one will doubt you.
No, but you know what? You said that last night, didn't you? Go with confidence, but
I was trying to help Martin Keown because you know what Martin's like. He gets a little... we had a giggle last night. I mean, Martin's wonderful. I love him to bits and he's brilliant to work with. But he does get a little bit nervous about his pronunciation of various names, and he does tend to ask you quite a lot of times how you say everybody's name, including Nuno. Remember? There was a bit in the shot. I mean, he'll be fine. He was fine. It was brilliant. And just before his analysis, he's turned to Micah and he went, "It's Nuno, isn't it? Nuno." And Micah's gone, yes, of course it is. And then Micah and myself were corpsing. And Martin was doing his analysis, obviously over the pictures. And Micah and myself could not look at each other because we were both gone. Nobody would have known at home because thankfully we were out of vision. But Micah had to look completely the other way. He was looking one way and I had to look completely the other way funnily enough, it was towards the monitor which had the Masters golf on, but that's beside the point. But we were both absolutely in hysterics, and thankfully it was a long piece of analysis. So by the end of it, we managed to get a grip of each other.
What else could it fucking be other than Nuno?
That's precisely the point. I don't know. Could it have been Nuno? It was so funny. It was so funny. Micah was. I mean, I just wondered whether you were going to come back from it with Micah at one point.
Honestly, I was gone. You're totally right, because the analysis was very long, and for those who don't know, there's obviously various cameras in the studio. And you might have a camera that shows all three of us. You might have a camera that shows Gary when he's reading a link or asking the questions. But luckily, when we came out, it come from like a back shot and then to a single of Martin. If it would have come to a free shot there, I would have been in big trouble. Because if people see me laughing, we would have to address it, and it was just, it was madness.
Love it, lads, love it.
I suppose we better talk about your team.
Well, I was wondering, I mean, how long we've been in here now? What, 35 minutes it's taken you to mention the performance of the weekend?
It didn't take you long to do it on the group chat to give me a bit of stick. It's very spattering Tottenham.
Talk about tactical masterclasses. Eddie schooled Ange, no doubt about it. He did. Played three at the back, changed the system, went man for man, pressed them high, and Spurs couldn't handle it. He wasn't prepared to change at all, and
it's a hell of a way of playing. Tottenham's when they push the fullbacks right in, and not only that, but you've got two central defenders playing really, really high, sometimes in the opposition's half, and if you've got no pressure on the ball, it's so easy I was thinking, God blimey, I'd love to play against that. I mean, you just spin in behind every time. It'd be like the kind of, I was the player that loved to spin all the time. I know, Alan, you should like to get behind defenders as well. I mean, that's like, you'd be licking your lips when you're at the...
I mean, I respect and I like that he's got his way and he wants to stick that way.
Me too. Yeah.
Sometimes you're going to have to change, because there's no doubt teams will suss that out, and they're already starting to suss it out. I know Spurs have had a really good season, but I mean, Micah, you told me that Van der Ven was an unbelievable centre-back.
Yeah.
Did he just have a bad day yesterday, did he, against a quality player?
A bad day at the office with zero protection. That's what I would say.
What's your opinion of trying to play an offside in your own half?
It's not wise.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? You know when you're a defender, you got that pace, Al. You just... I don't want to say you switch off, but you always just think your pace is going to get you out of trouble. But when you've got someone like Isak who's quick and also can twist and turn,
and finish,
that is the problem.
He had his pants down, didn't he?
Yeah, 17 goals in 24 Premier League appearances. I mean, the only question mark against him is that he's missed a few games. But, I mean, he's I remember pointing him out in fact, can you remember, Alan? It was, I think, was it the Euros, wasn't it? He was doing really well, and I pointed, and he went in a press conference, and somebody said, Gary Lineker's tweeted something really positive about you, and he's gone,
Who's that?
Never heard of him.
Who's that stupid old fucking fool?
Who is that old dick?
He did, I remember that. By the way, if you get him out on the pitch, and you have him fit, he's as good as there is in the Premier League. No doubt about that. Yeah. His feet are so quick. He's a really good finisher. As quick as there is, and in a race, he's a clever footballer. Really superb, yeah.
It's been an up and down season for Newcastle, Alan, but they've actually rallied pretty well the last few weeks, haven't they? And they've got themselves back in contention, which is a big plus for Eddie Howe, because there was one point where there were a few rumblings, weren't there? And people were saying, not sure the players and this and that and the other, as you always do when you go through a bad run. But he's turned it round.
He's doing a brilliant job. And we said, I mean, if you look at the injury list that Newcastle had before yesterday's game, it's arguable that the injury list, he could have put a better team out, a better 11, and maybe the one that was actually against Tottenham. So that tells you how good a job that he's doing. The last couple of results are superb. They've got a decent run in. So yeah, it's if they can get into a Europa League spot, which is every chance now, then it would still be an incredible season just because of everything that's been thrown at them.
Just before we move on, Gary, as you do, you go on Twitter, or X as it's called now, and I've seen an absolutely cringeworthy tweet from Alan wishing Smodics well done on your, was it 30 goals a season? And the only reason he did it is so people could know how good he was. It made me feel sick.
Hang on a minute, Micah. Can I also say, well done, Smodics. What a goal. And you're only upset because it was against your Leeds lot, another one of your teams.
Yeah, I know.
Micah, you've got to respect 30 goals in the season, man. You've got to respect that.
No, I do respect it.
Can you imagine doing that 3 seasons on the spin?
No, I could never.
Well, I'm glad Smodics is going to do that. Is that what you're talking about? Is it?
Yeah.
I presume.
Well done, Smodics.
I tell you what, Spurs are going to have a say in the title race, though. I mean, they're hit and miss, Tottenham. Yeah. There's no question about it, as we've seen. But they've got Arsenal, Liverpool, and Manchester City to play before the end of the season. I mean, it must have been really tough for Spurs fans today, because half of them would be going, yes, Aston Villa have beaten Arsenal, so they won't, gives them less chance of winning the title. But at the same time, of course, Villa's the side that they're up against to finish in the top 4. And given the nature of some of the European results of last week, I think it's looking quite unlikely that the Premier League will get 5 clubs. So Tottenham need to get a grip, but what a tough run-in they've got.
Is Tottenham's next game Arsenal?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I think it is, isn't it? In, 2 weeks' time, 15 days, yeah.
Yeah, at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium as well. And they've got City there as well, haven't they?
But am I right in saying that the Tottenham City game is the last midweek of the season?
I think that was the one they were waiting to fit in, wasn't it, as a fixture? And I think that's when it's going to be. So I mean, and as you said, Micah, that bit of a bogey place for City to go.
Yeah, I mean, Spurs are one of those teams who do attack. They're going to stick to their principles. I think it's unfair for people to say Spurs have sort of not been they've just done what they've usually do all season. They've just basically not scoring and finishing off the chances. Maddison got injured at a bad time. Yeah. Son went to the Asian Cup, which sort of killed their momentum a little bit. Kulusevski doesn't look quite the same. Richarlison has obviously had his problems, then got injured. But they still are a very good team. And on their day, they could beat anyone.
And they're really good too. The one thing I would say, overall this season, it's been a massive improvement on the previous years, where Spurs fans, and I've obviously massive affinity towards the football club. I mean, it's been fairly drab. And suddenly you got, yes, it can be a bit hit and miss, as we saw at the weekend. But they play exciting football and they go for it. And it's adventurous, it's entertaining, and you're never going to be bored, are you?
No, you're never going to be bored. But I do believe, especially when I was doing the analysis, is they basically, I don't say missing a number 6, but if you're going to go that high as a midfield pair with Bissouma and Bentancur, who played on the Saturday, the need to know what each other are doing. So half the team was caught up the field, yes. And then you've got your centre-half staying on the halfway line but not reading the situation. It's just that communication, or someone who could just sit in front of the back 4 just to give them a little bit more protection, I would say.
They are hopeless at defending corners as well.
Yeah, they've really struggled, certainly in recent weeks. Let's move on. Blimey, same old Man United.
Oh, my word.
Struggling, aren't they?
I don't know if did you see any of that game, Alan?
I watched in the car on the way up, yeah. So I didn't have a great view of it because I was watching on my iPad, but I saw bits of it. Yeah, they were rotten again first half, weren't they?
Yeah, Bournemouth played well though. I think it's important to say that, but especially in the first half.
Yeah, Kirkes down the left hand side was brilliant. I felt a little bit sorry for Kambwala. So in terms of, we talked about protection for Spurs as well, like Man United's midfield, they don't seem to be working together. They are working hard. I think a lot of people say they look at the team, they're not working. They are actually working hard.
In that case, Micah, would you say that is a tactical flaw?
This is exactly to my point. It's a tactical thing. So we know Mainoo's very, very good now. He's more than just a number 6. He's a number 8 who can get into the box. And sometimes him and Fernandes become on the same line. And Casemiro, fantastic player, but maybe not got the legs of what he used to have, where he could just dominate a midfield by himself. He needs a little bit more help. And then 2 of them will press, Fernandes and Mainoo, and then there's a big, massive gap. And then Casemiro has to go engage. Then young Kumbwala, 19 years of age, is exposed. He's a good player. He did very well. He did very well in the Liverpool game, but at that age, away from home, you just need a little bit more structure. Dalot, who's been playing really well, had a bad game at right back, no communication. Garnacho got subbed at halftime as well. So they're just missing that real lack of maybe identity in how they want to approach games for different opponents is what I see with Man United at the moment.
I know he's not everyone's favourite, but where would they be, by the way, without Bruno Fernandes?
I know.
Absolutely. I mean, he's a very talented player. It'd be interesting to see him in a team that was really structured and really, going well and successful. He's not had that really at Manchester United. Whether he's part and parcel of that, I don't know, but he's a wonderfully gifted footballer. There's no question about that. Just quickly, before we head off, let's talk a little bit about the bottom of the table. We were saying last night it's so difficult to predict what might happen because we don't really know what's going to happen in terms of points deductions and appeals and that sort of stuff. And we're saying we might not even know who's gone down after they're supposed to have gone down.
I know, because there's fucking stupid asterisks everywhere. There's isn't there, at the bottom, at the bottom of the league.
I've heard he's in contention for Player of the Season asterisk.
Oh God! I mean, I felt for Luton at the weekend, but what I would say is that they have given themselves the best opportunity. Whether by hook or by crook, whether it's other teams' bad luck or whether other teams deserve it because of the points deductions, that Luton have given themselves the best chance of staying up. But I don't see them. I think the bottom 3 in terms of Sheffield United, Burnley, and Luton will probably go.
And I suspect, and I know this is a bit unfair, but I suspect the Premier League will be sort of hoping that's the case, because that way the points deductions won't affect it. I mean, what happens then if it's one team's a point above, but they've got 2 points and in deduction, and then that would have sent them down, and then all of a sudden there's a delay and there's an appeal, and that's decided.
What a mess.
After the end of the season. What a mess! And how does an independent tribunal, whatever you want to call it, decide on whether a team gets relegated or not? It's whatever they do, they need to sort it out fast and make some kind of decision quickly for everybody's sake. I just want a quick word about our executive producer on this, Tony Pastor, my partner in this business. Tony, can you just switch off now, because we're going to talk about Burnley. Oh my goodness me again. The goalkeeper, 2 weeks running, Muric, who'd come in, and it kind of coincided with an improvement in results of late. But what an error! What an error! Just put his foot on the ball and kind of let it slip under his foot into the goal.
No, I'm not even going to laugh at it, because it's not funny.
It's not funny.
It's just a horrendous mistake, and it'll affect him for the rest of his life. Not good.
You know what it's done though? It's sort of, when you look at Burnley and how they've been playing of late, it's actually been really good.
Yeah.
But all people are talking about are the bad mistakes. What makes it even work? They've changed the tactics slightly, not making the same amount of mistakes sort of in the middle of the pitch where it was getting counted on. But now, because they still want to play out, which Alan's talked about all season long, that's what happens. You trust your goalkeepers are going to make mistakes.
Do you think that's perhaps why we're seeing now the fact why he's stuck with Trafford for so long? Maybe because of the way he wants to play, and Trafford's obviously more comfortable with the ball at his feet. But
yeah, that was working, wasn't it?
Well, it wasn't, and that's why ultimately he had to change.
Sorry, Tony.
Alan said he wasn't going to laugh, and now he's laughing. So I'm going to move on. And yeah, good luck to all those sides, because it's horrible being relegated. It's horrible, as we all know. Moment of the week has to be Bayer Leverkusen winning the Bundesliga. They've just done it this afternoon. 5-0 win against Werder Bremen. Their first ever Bundesliga title. They've scored 74 goals in 29 league games and conceded just 19. It's mid-April, by the way, chaps, and they've still haven't lost a game in any competition. And if you look at their team, it's not a team of superstars. There's a couple of young, really exceptional players, Florian Wirtz being one of them, that we've mentioned many times. But my goodness me, Xabi Alonso, this could be, I think, can you imagine if they get to the end of the season, win the Europa League, win the German Cup, and go to the end of the season without losing a game? That would almost have to be the greatest season ever.
And by the way, we talk about teams being brave. Have you seen how brave they are? How they play? Incredible.
Yeah, really high.
Yeah. I mean, staggering what he's doing, what he's done. Just incredible.
You imagine how good he'll be when he gets a bit of experience.
Wow. Can we just pray for Harry Kane?
Pray for Harry Kane. Harry's a happy man. Harry's going to win the Euros with England, and then all of it will go away.
Our Father in heaven, hallowed by thy name.
Well, it is a Sunday, Micah, I suppose.
Please.
Thy kingdom come, Kane will be done. Harry's all right. He's having the time of his life. He's scoring loads of goals. It's not his fault.
He's the unluckiest player I think I've ever. How can you be that good? And no, mate. He's gone there to win trophies. And he could be out the Champions League next week.
He might not be either.
He might. Yeah, they've got a good chance. They've got home advantage. He'll win. It'll change. He'll win things. It's not all about that. It's all the most important thing in the game, Mike, as we all know, is scoring goals.
Is it? Hell, behave yourself.
It is for some of us, but yeah, we'll all pray for Harry Kane in the summer. I think most of us, anyway. That's for sure. That's for sure. But regardless of how Bayern have performed, he's been absolutely magnificent this season. No question about that. I think that'll do us for now, because I'm going to watch the golf. Alan, get the monitor on top corner while you're doing Match of the Day.
Already told them, it's already planned.
I have to say, I don't mind confessing that during Match of the Day last night, I had my right eye was focused on the Masters coverage. It was sensational last night, wasn't it? And I suspect it will be. So I'm going to go and watch the golf. I know you won't be, Micah, but.
No, I've got to travel down to London. We've got another podcast tomorrow, haven't we?
We've got Match of the Day top 10. I've already started cooking for you all.
Love it.
Ooh, what are we having?
I'll surprise you.
And a nice bottle of red, please, if you don't mind.
But Micah, chicken will be involved.
Thank God for that. But can you know what? I hate the cringy mushiness and all that, and I especially don't like to give, especially you two, credit. But Gary last night did something that it just staggered me. So for those who don't know, Gary reads off an auto cue. He could do it without an auto cue, and I don't want to be up his ass because it sounds horrible. But Gary times his read for about a minute. I think the read yesterday was about a minute and 4 seconds, something like that. And he goes through it, he reads the papers, etc., etc. It gets to about 58 seconds. He's not started the read. And I'm nervous because for those who don't know, Match of the Day is still live. It's not pre-recorded. We don't do it at 7, 8 or 9. It's live. 58 seconds goes. He's not started the script. I'm starting to sweat. I'm thinking,
don't sweat.
What's happening here? What's happening here? He goes into it. They say that they're producing the year. Or the director, which is Colin.
Colin.
He says camera 4. So he swiftly just swings on his seat, swiftly goes to the left and starts reading. And then he throws in a few ad-libs as well. And just as he say goodbye, it is 1 second left. And that was presenting at the highest level.
Well, I've done it for 25 years, Mike. If I can't hit the count now, I'm never going to hit the damn thing. And that, so in fact, we've got 5, 4, 3. So goodbye from me.
Brilliant.
You can say goodbye too if you want.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Oh, real pal, we've got 2 seconds.
Goodbye from me. Have a great week.
Yeah, brilliant.